There's a big difference between an older man who captures attention and one who makes women silently recoil. You've seen both. There's the silver fox at the bar, calm, confident, not trying too hard. He doesn't chase the spotlight, but somehow it follows him. Women, especially younger ones, naturally gravitate toward that energy. And then there's the other guy, the one trying to fake cool. The one who doesn't realize he's the punchline in his own story. This isn't about how you look. It never really is. It's about how you carry yourself, your energy, your vibe, your self-awareness. Because nothing turns off a younger woman faster than an older man who's trying to mold himself into what he thinks she wants, rather than standing firmly in who he truly is. So, if you've ever noticed younger women seem intrigued at first, then disappear just as quickly, chances are you're falling into one of these 7 traps. And here's the kicker. You probably don't even know you're doing it. Let's break it down. Habit 1. Pretending to be young instead of embracing your age. Nothing turns off a younger woman quicker than an older man clinging to his youth like it's slipping through his fingers. You know the guy, rocking shoes meant for high schoolers, tossing around outdated slang, and quoting TikTok trends like he's trying out for a role he doesn't fit. Here's the truth, you're not 25 anymore. And that's not a flaw, it's your superpower. Younger women aren't looking for an older guy who acts like a frat boy. They're drawn to what younger guys can't offer: maturity, emotional intelligence, direction, and that grounded energy that says, "I've figured myself out." But the moment you start imitating youth, you lose the very essence that makes you magnetic in the first place. Picture this. You walk into a bar and spot a guy in his 40s with a backwards hat, baggy hoodie, and sneakers worth a small mortgage. He's throwing around phrases like, "no cap," and "that's fire." What comes to mind? Not hip, not youthful, just out of place. There's a reason someone like Sean Connery could still steal the spotlight well into his 60s. He wasn't faking youth, he was showcasing maturity with confidence. A man who owns his age naturally earns admiration. One who fights it? He just looks like he's trying way too hard. So what's the move? Stop chasing cool. Start mastering class. Drop the trends, build a timeless style. Skip the slang, speak with clarity and intention. Stop forcing your way into youth culture. Create a presence that invites others in. Because at the end of the day, younger women aren't looking for a guy still searching for himself. They want a man who knows who he is and isn't afraid to show it. Habit 2. Acting like a warden instead of a partner. There's a truth that hits hard. The more tightly you try to grip something, the quicker it slips away. Nowhere is that more obvious than in dating. Younger women don't have an issue with older men. What they do resent is being treated like they belong to you. A confident man makes her feel cherished. A controlling man? He makes her feel like she's in a box with no air. And the scary part? Most guys don't even know they've crossed the line. It often starts off masked as concern. "Let me know when you get there." "Who are you going out with?" "That's what you're wearing?" But then, slowly it morphs. "Why didn't you answer right away?" "I don't like your friends." "I don't trust other guys around you." And just like that, the spark you had? Smothered. Because here's the truth bomb. No woman, especially not a younger one, wants to feel locked in or constantly monitored. So why do older guys fall into this pattern? It's not inborn, but life throws its punches. By the time you've hit your 40s or 50s, you've probably had a gut-wrenching breakup you didn't see coming. A woman you loved walk away for someone else. The sting of watching younger, sharper men enter the game. And instead of healing, some men start clutching, watching, doubting, thinking, if I just keep tabs on everything, she won't leave. But here's the thing, they're not keeping her close. They're driving her away. Because control doesn't inspire loyalty, it creates distance. And no woman stays where she feels like she's being policed. She doesn't need a guard. She needs a man who trusts her and himself. Habit 3. Flashing your wallet like it's your only value. Let's cut to the chase. Money is attractive. It shows you're capable, established, and have your life together. But the second you start waving it around like a trophy, that's when things go south. Fast. Younger women don't mind that older guys have money. What turns them off is when it feels like that's all you're bringing to the table. There's a big difference between being a man who's well off and a man who uses his bank account to mask his insecurities. And trust me, women can spot the difference without breaking a sweat. Here's what it looks like when it goes wrong. A guy in his late 40s sits down for a date. Within minutes, he's name-dropping luxury brands, flexing his car, bragging about the cost of his watch like it's some kind of resume. She smiles, nods, acts polite. But inside, she's checked out. Because to her, it's not confidence, it's desperation wrapped in designer labels. A man who really has it together doesn't feel the need to prove it every 5 seconds. His presence does the talking. His calm, his taste, his energy, it all tells the story money never could. Because here's the twist. A wealthy man trying to prove he's rich is already showing how insecure he truly is. Habit 4. Turning complaints about women into your entire personality. If there's one guaranteed way to make a younger woman mentally check out, it's listening to an older guy go on and on about how women these days are the problem. You know, the guy, always grumbling about how modern women are too demanding, how they don't make them like they used to, and blaming social media for everything from hookup culture to heartbreak. And sure, the world has changed. But the second you start ranting about it, you stop sounding experienced and start sounding like the guy yelling into his beer about how music peaked in the 80s. It's not deep. It's just dated. Why is that such a turnoff? Because when you complain about women, here's what you're really saying. 1. You feel like you've lost your edge. 2. You're carrying around emotional baggage. 3. You resist growth. You'd rather point fingers than adapt. And nothing is less attractive than a man who acts like the world owes him something. Younger women don't dislike older men, but they do lose interest in older men who play the victim and wear bitterness like a badge. Habit 5. Dressing like you've checked out of life. Let's not sugarcoat it. Attraction starts with what the eyes see. You could be smart, successful, even charming as hell, but if you show up looking like you just crawled out of bed, you've already lost ground. And sadly, a lot of older men fall right into this pit. Somewhere along the line, they just stop putting in the effort. They start thinking things like, I'm too old for fashion, or I've got no one to impress, or the classic, if she really likes me, it won't matter how I look. But here's the unfiltered truth. Women are naturally drawn to men who take care of themselves. No, you don't have to dress like a trendy 25-year-old with a TikTok account. And no, it's not about following every fashion trend. But if you walk around looking like you've completely given up, she's not sticking around to find out what's on the inside. Why do guys fall into this? Simple, comfort. Maybe they've been married for years and forgot what it's like to try. Maybe success made them think status is enough. Or maybe they just got too used to not caring. But here's the harsh reality. Comfort kills attraction. When a woman sees a man who doesn't even try to present himself well, she's not thinking, wow, he must be deep and spiritual. She's thinking, if he puts this little effort into himself, how much effort is he going to put into me? And once that thought hits, it's game over. Here's the thing most guys miss. Women love older men. What they don't love are men who look like they've stopped trying. Look at Clooney, Elba, Brosnan. These guys aren't chasing youth, they're owning their age with confidence and style. They dress like men who respect themselves. And that's what makes all the difference. Self-respect is always in style. Habit 6. Treating her like a child instead of a partner. One of the quickest ways an older man can kill the vibe? Slipping from being attractive to being patronizing. It happens without realizing it. He thinks, I've lived more, I know more, and suddenly he's in constant correction mode, explaining, over-explaining, and turning every conversation into a life lesson. And nothing shuts off attraction faster than that. How does it actually play out? Picture this. She's excited, animated, telling him about something new she just read or discovered. She's genuinely lit up. And then he replies with, "That's adorable," or, "Yeah, I've known about that forever," or worse, "You'll understand it better one day." Boom. The spark? Gone. Because instead of connecting with her, he's subtly putting her down. Younger women don't want to feel like they're back in a classroom. They're not looking for a lecture. They want someone who listens, who shares, without acting like he's always right. Why do older men fall into this trap? Some think their value lies in being the wise one. And yes, sharing wisdom can be powerful, but how you share it makes all the difference. You've got two options. Be the guy who talks down and makes her feel small, or be the guy who lifts her up and makes her feel empowered. One drains the connection, the other builds it. Choose wisely. Habit 7. Acting like you've got all the answers. Few things kill attraction faster than a man who walks around like he's the authority on everything. Older men tend to fall into this without realizing it. They've been around longer, seen more, done more, and sometimes that experience turns into an automatic "I know better" attitude. But here's the truth: women aren't looking for a know-it-all. They're looking for someone who gets them, not someone trying to school them. There's a fine line between being confident and being condescending. Picture this. She's opening up about something that excites her. A new project, a book she loves, or a hobby she's diving into. The right kind of man? He leans in, listens, and encourages her spark. The wrong kind? He interrupts with something like, "Actually, that's not exactly how it works. You're a little young to fully get it. Let me break it down the right way." In his head, he's being helpful. But to her, it's patronizing. It tells her loud and clear, "I don't take your thoughts seriously." And here's the thing: no woman wants to feel like her voice doesn't matter. Age doesn't change that. Yes, dating as an older man can be amazing, if you do it right. But when you come off as controlling, insecure, or like you've stopped growing, you're not giving her a reason to stick around. You don't have to be in your 20s to be magnetic. You just have to be a man who carries himself with value. A man who gives her room to shine, not someone who dims her light. A man who listens more than he lectures. A man who's still evolving, not stuck in the past. Because when you show up like that, it doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, or even 60, she'll see the man, not the number. If this video brought you value, consider liking and subscribing. Until next time, remain disciplined, remain strong, and above all, remain in control.